Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. My name is Jane Applegath, a former award-winning stockbroker, television producer, script writer, yoga instructor, and now founder of the Epic Vision Zone. Each show, we offer you an inspiring person or message to bring you closer to your big dream by giving you the resources, the inspiration, and the knowledge to make your epic vision a reality. Thank you so much for being here with us. Our guest today says, if you're ready to connect with your spirit guides, cultivate your intuitive gifts, and live your life purpose abundantly, then she's here to show you how. Intuition teacher and spiritual mentor Whitney McNeill is a certified medium and spiritual teacher who has helped thousands of people connect with spirit. Her gift is helping spiritual and ambitious souls learn how to understand their intuitive messages and connect with their spirit guides, which Whitney says is the key to removing blocks, gaining clarity, stopping the second guessing, which we could all use, and manifesting amazingly aligned opportunities in career, relationships, and purpose. Host of the Spiritual and Ambitious podcast and founder of Messenger of Spirit, Whitney facilitates her work through her 4 intuitive languages signature framework. She has been a guest speaker for Amy Porterfield, Lily Dale, and at the sold out Illuminate Film Festival. She has also been featured in Time magazine and contributing writer to Screw the 9 to 5 and much more. Welcome, Whitney. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to get into this conversation. And I feel that really connecting with your intuition is so important. So thank you for shedding light in this podcast interview.
Well, I am appreciative of you being here, and I can't wait to delve into this topic. So let's start at the beginning. What was it that drove you and your passion and your purpose to do the work that you do today?
Great question. When I was young, I experienced all of these intuitive, knowings and things I would see. And my parents did not have an explanation for what that was. And that really started my curiosity and my ambition to discover what that possibly could be. So, all of my life, I wanted to learn more about this topic. It wasn't really known or talked about when I was growing up. And my passion is to help other people understand that they have it as well. Every single person has an ability to connect into their divine guidance, to their spirit team. They just may not know how because it doesn't look like it does in the movies. So for me, my education was watching TV for a good while and reading any books that I could get my hands on until I became older and I was able to dive in a bit more. And I want to make it really easy, step by step, for people to understand they have this ability to access and they were born with it.
Well, that is so it is so grounding for today and so important because like you said, when you were younger, you didn't understand what was happening and your parents couldn't explain it. And a lot of us go through that. And some of us might think we're going a little crazy. And some people might say you're something wrong with you. But this is so important because I think today, more than ever in these times, that we need to learn and understand what our intuition is saying, because you're right. I believe, as you do, that they're there for a reason and they're giving us messages all the time. So thank you for that insight. And how do you define spiritual intuitive gifts, if that's the case?
That's a really good question. And I feel like so many people right now are finding either the dark night of the soul, or they feel like there's a pivot, or they feel a calling that there's something more for them. And with their spiritual inherent gifts, spirit is there to help. We are human beings, but we have spirit. And so we can function on the earth plane and we can also connect into the spiritual world. We are designed energetically to take in information and to process and learn. So, for an example, if you are a visual learner, you will want to see images and read text. Well, chances are, if you're a visual learner, then you also take in energy from the spiritual world through your sight, which I will say that means you are a seer. You can also experience intuition in different ways in your body, which I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about. So I would call that process, that is your intuitive language, or what some people will refer to as intuitive gifts. You can see, hear, feel, or know the messages coming in from spirit. There are also spiritual gifts that we are here to harness, to access, and to amplify as we walk through this world in our purpose and through our career. So, our spiritual gifts, maybe we are wonderful helpers, teachers, healers. Perhaps we're here for the planet and we say that we're a humanitarian. So, we have spiritual gifts where we really flourish in certain topics of our lives. And then I say intuitive gifts as how we process and take in the insight and divine guidance coming in.
Wow, that was so impactful. I love that you associated it with the way different people take information in. And it's interesting in these disruptive times, I think it's really become like an earthquake of especially women listening more to their intuition. And the reason I say that is because in in the entrepreneurial world, Whitney, there are so many, it's women who are coming to the forefront and creating new opportunities and new jobs and new businesses. And I think that's what it is they're honing in to their intuition now more than ever, because in the go world where you're 9 to 5 and you're at the company and you've got your mortgage and you've got the kids, there's no space. But because of the disruption with COVID, it created that opening, and it created maybe that opportunity for that energy to come in. And because I bump into people every day, Whitney, even on the weekend, I met a girl who just quit her job that she had for 10 years. So it's not like these are the, people who just don't want to work. And she's a creative and a jeweler. And she says, I just thought, why the heck not? I'm going to give this a shot, because I think, like you said, it was speaking to her. Oh my gosh, that was so insightful. Thank you so much for that information. We could go on forever. I mean, I was fascinated by what you were saying. I love that. So, speaking of intuition, tell us about the power of our intuition and what transpires when we unlock it.
Mm. I think you just spoke to a lot of that. When we truly access our intuition, we become aware of why we are here, why we chose to be on this earth at this time. And we start to remember, when we're born, we have this intuitive language and we can sense if we like someone or not, even when we're children, as babies. And we're not necessarily taught how to harness it. So a lot of us forget. When we say, I'm ready to receive, which is exactly what you said with the pandemic, we really went into a restful time. We also started to realize, wait a minute, I might be wasting some time here. I want to get in alignment with my purpose and my mission. So when we access our intuition, which is getting quiet, allowing ourselves to receive and perceive energy and information that's not right in front of our face like tangible things are. When we get quiet, we're able to reconnect in to what we've already had, and we can sidestep the hurdles that our ego puts us through when we're not listening to our intuition. So we can save time so that we aren't wasting years doing a job or creating an offer that's really not in alignment. Money by knowing where to invest our resources and who to connect with as well. We can save our energy by knowing that we can have more time in the day for joy and things that are really exciting for us, and minimize the things that we don't want to do. So when we operate from our intuition, we move more into this 80% or higher time in our day where we're doing things that we feel really aligned with. And then 20% or lower or things that we don't necessarily love. And those things just can be things that we need to do on the earth plane, paying bills, things like that. So there's so much more for us, and we receive insight on what next steps to take, especially in our business and in our life, so that we have this almost a sixth sense, if you will, which is a popular term I think so many can resonate with, where you have this insight before things happen so that you understand and trust you're making the right decisions, even when the logic or the facts haven't yet appeared.
Well, yes, absolutely, because we don't know what the future holds. But you said when we're open to receive and perceive, we make that connection. And we feel less fearful, possibly, about making that step into the unknown, because without risking something, we don't grow. I mean, if we
Mm-hmm.
stay in our bubble, we're fighting not only a potential that we have as humans, a greater potential, but we're also fighting our intuition. So then we're out of alignment. So yes, that is so vital, I think, to everybody understanding what it is that it offers you and why we need to listen to it. A question here I just thought I'd throw out: do you believe that women have more intuition than men?
So I believe that we all have the equal potential. It's basically, are you really ready to enhance that?
Mhm.
And from society and how women are energetically designed, I do see more women being open and ready than men. However, I have seen more people come to this place of wanting something else, something that really fulfills them, which leads them to opening up in their intuition. And I do tend to see women being the leaders here to help others in their environment and in their life, kind of showing them, hey, you can do this too. Let me introduce you to this intuition thing. And there's so many things that happen when someone in the family connects to the intuition. It benefits everyone. So, for an example, I had this feeling I was going to move to Sedona, Arizona, but at the time it made no logical sense to me. And I was living on the East Coast. One day I just knew I'm moving to Sedona. And I started telling my family this, and they said, well, how are you going to do it? I said, I don't know, but I'm doing it. Well, it worked out. We moved our family across the country when we also got a house sight unseen, and we also didn't have that formal plan. But here we are, the most successful we've ever been in our businesses, loving it, still living in Sedona, Arizona. And it can also come into a smaller realm in your day to day life, such as when one person's affecting and others by connecting to their intuition. They might say, I really feel like you need to have a conversation with so and so. I'm feeling like you're going to get this opportunity coming up. I don't know why we're not supposed to go on this trip, but I just feel like we're not. So then the ripple effects just multiply. and the other people in the family start becoming curious. So this is a great question. And we're all born with different sensitivities, but really, no matter what we're born with, as long as you have the desire to grow, your intuition will flourish. So you can add more sensitivity to your life, even if you're out there feeling, I'm not sensitive at all. I must have missed the boat. I didn't get that extra sensitivity gene. I will say to you, you do have it. It's probably coming in a different way than you're expecting it.
Right. Yeah. So that's where your work comes in, because you can help people understand where it is or what they're missing, or that they have it. It's just that you're maybe not tuning in. So wonderful. Thank you so much for that. What does it mean to live a life on purpose?
Mm. This is a really great question. Living a life on purpose to me is feeling fulfilled, loving what you're doing, just living in joy and feeling lit up, like your light has been turned on. And I truly believe that the way to do that is starting with your intuition, to open up to that guidance. And when you do, you will find other ideas which you may have thought about before, but your ego didn't think was possible. And when we find that connection in, our spirit guides help us and move us into opportunities that we do feel fulfilled. We do feel like we're making an impact. And when we're living on purpose, we're not feeling drained. We're not feeling like we're wasting our time. We are feeling like this is what we are supposed to do and what we are meant to do. So that is a great question. And I find that living in our purpose is living on purpose as well.
Yes, that makes total sense. And you kept bringing up the word feeling, which for me is very, very significant when you're doing any kind of work. Because I always, one of my passions is helping individuals see their future vision. And, but the key is, if you write your vision statement and you read it back to yourself, or you have someone read it to you, close your eyes and tell me, how did it make you feel? If it didn't make you feel excited, if it didn't make you feel happy, joyful, anticipating the future, if it made you feel stressed, if it made you feel heavy, if it made you feel like you wanted to run, then we have to go back and do some more work, because the feeling is the energetic vibration that we're putting out. And it's kind of that intuition as well, right? Because if you don't, you said feel, and it's all about that inner energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It
uh,
is. And where we're really guided to our intuition, we will truly feel alive. And I think that's where a lot of people are feeling like they're missing something. I'm not feeling just on fire in a good way. And I love what you said. If it's not feeling good, then something's not right. Let's go back and retrace our steps.
right. Absolutely. Because we all can, we can all feel what we're feeling. Like we're like, yeah, no, that doesn't feel good. No, I don't. But absolutely. So that being said, then this is a perfect segue into our next question, is what gets in the way of fully experiencing our spiritual gifts?
Great question. One of the biggest answers is truly not knowing how to do it, not knowing what your gifts are, or not knowing where to start. And we were just talking about feeling, and I believe everyone feels, but sometimes we are disconnected to those feelings, and we can bridge that gap and utilize our body. How is our body responding? Is our body full of energy, or is our body tired? Is it feeling like it's resistant, or doesn't easy. So really tapping into your intuitive language is a big key, and a block is not understanding how to do it. But another big block is just simply fear. I'm afraid of understanding more about the spirit world because I saw things in movies, or I had some religious teachings that were against this, or other things. And it's truly the fear of the unknown. And people sometimes will not be able to get over that hurdle until they've done the inner deep work. And when they think, well, wait a minute, what if I truly lived my life on purpose? That means my entire life might change. That means that my job will change. That means my schedule will change. How will this affect other people? And one of the things I'll say is things will change. I promise you, if you listen to your intuition, but for the better. The things in your life that are not supporting you fall away, and the things that will support you will come into your life because you will be making aligned decisions to help you in that place. And then, of course, there's the ego. I can't do this. This is all nonsense. This doesn't exist, until you see it for yourself. So, breaking through that ego, and a lot of what breaks through that ego is what you mentioned, feeling. I am tired of this. I need a change. And you get to the place where you are so uncomfortable that you're willing to look at something out of your comfort zone as an answer, which could be intuition for people who've never tried it before, never tried to access it before. So, fear, ego, and not knowing where to start, those are really big ones.
Yes, I could absolutely see that, because the fear and the change go hand in hand as well. Because as the human evolved, we we always wanted to know our surroundings in the primitive days. We wanted to understand where we were because of threats, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't have those anymore. But our primitive brain says, wait a second, you're going to change things here? I don't know if that's a safe thing. And then it triggers the fear because, they say that 90% of who we are is a recording of our past and what we've done. So, yes, I can see change and fear certainly are big hurdles. But like you said, once you understand it, then you're getting the knowledge to deal with it. And so it doesn't become something so unknown. Oh, perfect. I love it. So, that being the case, now I'm really curious about what your four intuitive languages framework entails. So, tell us something about that.
Absolutely. I feel so excited to talk about four intuitive languages, and I feel our listeners will get some ahas from this. So, the first intuitive language is the seer. So, people who have this language, when they're meditating or right before they fall asleep, may start to see colors or flashes of light, or perhaps they might see images that have happened throughout their day, and they think to themselves, why am I seeing this repetitive image over and over? And your intuition is trying to tell you something in what you're seeing. So if you are someone who takes in information visually and that's important to you and that's the way you learn, most likely you are a seer. Now, another intuitive language is the language of the owl. And so this language really is about hearing. And sometimes before you go to sleep or right after you wake up, you might hear your name being called and you wake up from a dream, or you're falling asleep and you think, what was that sound? But 9 times out of 10, the way that you receive your intuitive message is going to be through your inner reading voice. And so many people come to me saying, did I just make this up? Am I talking to myself? Or is this really an intuitive message coming through? So we work together to help them understand when it's intuitive and when it's not. Now, another intuitive language is the empath. And if you're an empath, feeling is really important to you. And feeling can be a gut feeling of yes and it can be an entire feeling of a no. But there's other things as well. You may feel sensations in your body, such as, oh, I've got tingles, or I'm feeling a heat coming through on my right side, or I'm feeling cool on my left side. So, really paying attention to the feelings going on, especially right before you're making a decision, can give you so much insight into what is intuitive and what is not. And then I believe this is my favorite intuitive language to talk about is the language of the channeler. And because if someone only has the channeler intuitive language and does not have the empath, seer, or owl, they think they're not intuitive, but they are. So channelers know things and they experience through their body. So they find themselves in the right place and the right time, and they give great wisdom and advice. Oftentimes, they don't know where that advice came from. So people may come to them and say, I just love your advice, or you're so intuitive. And they might look at them and say, no, I'm not. And they are. And that's because they have a direct connection with spirit where it's coming out of their mouth, working through their body. It also comes through typing and writing. So they may respond to someone on social media or write a book, and they're literally channeling through it. And if you're a channeler, pay attention to your body. Maybe you're supposed to do something, it's on your calendar, but you're so tired and you're resisting doing it. That's going to give you a lot of insight about what your intuition's telling you. However, if you feel really inspired and full of energy, that's a huge message from your intuition that you're on the right track. So with the framework, we go through all the different intuitive languages and how it looks for each person. And of course, other steps of learning how to clear your mind so that you are making sure what you are receiving is indeed coming in from your intuition and not something that you feel like you're making up.
Okay, sign me up. That's Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic. You'll have to give us some information near the end about your, if that's a course or it's in person. That sounds incredible. And what I felt there, which is interesting that I used that word, was awareness. You have to level up your awareness to understand, like, because I call it static. I find that in the world, there's so much static. So the frequencies, the awareness that our guides are trying to tell us are not getting through because we can't tune in to that particular channel, if you want to put it that way, because of the static. But if you understand that awareness comes first, then you're giving yourself permission to maybe tune down the static and understand what it is that's happening. Because I don't know about you or if your clients have experienced that, but often you get in a state where you're busy, you have something you have to accomplish, you've got several tasks that have to be done within a time frame. Even if your spirit guides were talking to you, there's no way you'd hear them because you would just be
Exactly.
like, I'm so busy. But I wanted to ask you then, Whitney, can you have more than one? Say, for example, you said the seer, the owl, the channeler, and I forgot the other one. Um, can you
The
have
empath.
more than one? Empaths, thank you. Can you have more than one?
This is a great question. And yes, you can. I like to help people find their primary intuitive language so that they really love themselves and the way their energy operates. However, you can develop additional intuitive languages if you feel like you only have one, but oftentimes I see a mixture. So usually there's one primary intuitive language. There might even be a second that's a really close runner up. And then you have the third and a fourth. And the more that you practice the exercises and the more that you exercise your intuition, which only takes 5 to 15 minutes each day, the more you will see other intuitive languages awakening. And I remember working with one of my students who came to me and said, I don't have an intuitive bone in my body, but I want to do this. Well, she was a really strong channeler, but she developed her clairvoyance. So she started to also have the seer intuitive language. And too many times people will say to me, Whitney, I really want to see. I want to see my messages. And I'll say, that's great, but let's see how your energy operates first. And let's learn to love that. And then we can develop it. So the interesting thing, too, is that your primary intuitive language can change. So it might be one today, and in 2 years, it may be different. And that's because we are changeable beings. Our energy is changing, our vibration is changing, and things that we're going through in life might change. And to your point, you are so right. You cannot receive an intuitive message if you're so busy all the time. And sometimes people try to talk to their spirit guides at the grocery store, and I'll say, no, let's do 5 to 15 minutes each day to talk to your spirit guides or receive your intuitive message. Because the more that you make time for it, and you can carve out 5 minutes a day, the more you can do that, the easier it becomes to recognize your intuitive messages.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. You're pushing your cart and you're mumbling away. That would be hysterical. I'm sorry, but I just got a visual. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So here we are. In your words, then, what is the definition of spirit guides?
Great question. So, our spirit guides have most of the time lived an earth plane life before, and they are helpful souls that have contracted to help us. So, they guide us, they teach us, and they protect us. So, those hunches that we get often come from our spirit guides to help guide us to an opportunity or to a person that we need to connect with. We also have a protector guide that guides us away from situations that we don't need to be in and towards situations that will really benefit us. And then, of course, we are here on the earth plane learning lessons, and we have a teacher guide that will guide us to teachers who are on the earth plane so that we can learn, but also lessons that our soul really is here to understand more about. And why I love working with spirit guides is because they are similar to you. And they will have a similar vibration, but higher. So if you're an artist, you will have a spirit guide that specializes in art to give you inspiration. If you're a business owner, well, you're going to have a spirit guide that helps you with business. And you can ask for additional guides when you need a little bit more help in a certain specialty, if you feel like you don't have one. So they're so helpful, and they're always working in our favor, and they're always trying to communicate with us. We just have to listen and open.
Right. Get out of the grocery store. I just,
Exactly.
yeah, thank you. That was really helpful in understanding what, excuse me, the definition of spirit guides are. So you wrote that dreams are possible, and you said that you can take risks, but they aren't really risks when you are trusting your intuition. I thought that was a really interesting statement. Tell us about that.
That goes back to the example that I was sharing about completely leaving our life on the East Coast and just trusting our intuition to move all the way to Sedona, Arizona without the formal plan. I am a very grounded person, and that's not really the normal that I would feel comfortable with. And it's worked out so well. So, really, we are operating a lot of times from our ego, which will also give us fear. And our ego is helpful because ego helps us to use our logic. But sometimes we say, I can't make this investment because I'm too afraid. This is uncomfortable for me. Well, when you talk to your spirit guides and you're really using your intuition, oftentimes they will tell you to do something before the humanness the logic kind of adds up for you. So truly, they're not risks because you will see things work out so easily when you're working with your guides. The same goes for buying our house. It's leading us down this trail with the breadcrumbs. And we're thinking, I don't want to live in this certain area, or I had a different idea. And then all of a sudden, our spirit guide said, here, go check out this place. And it was the most wonderful thing we could have done. They help us with big investments, 6-figure, 7-figure investments. They'll help us with quitting our jobs and starting our business. They are there to guide us. And that is when you feel it's not really a risk. My ego thought it was, but I'm so glad I listened to my intuition. How many times have people said, I wish I would have listened to that thought I had, or to that inner voice I had? And so it eliminates the risk when you are feeling so trusting with what you know or see or hear or feel. And you have this sense of calm and peace in your life, knowing there's a reason for it, even if your brain hasn't caught up to why yet. I think we ask why too much, and sometimes it's because you'll learn the why later.
Mm. The big takeaway was, for me, was trust the message. Trust
Absolutely.
the message. And that trust is something you have to cultivate, because you have to believe that those spirit guides are there to help.
Absolutely. And so when you say yes to smaller things, you start to develop the trust and you see that those smaller things have worked out. And then spirit gives you bigger opportunities that you'll say yes to, and bigger opportunities. And then you start to create this relationship and this rapport with not only your intuition, but your spirit support team as well. So you can start small and see what works out for you. And then you will develop the trust to say yes to the bigger items that you might feel a little scared because your ego's not used to it and you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Baby steps. That's baby steps.
Baby.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about then living in alignment, why it matters, and how your work helps us get there.
Great question. So, really, with alignment, we talk about different bodies that we have. We have our human body, we have our emotional body, which we talked about, we have our mental body with our thoughts, and we also have our spiritual body. And when we are living in alignment, all of those bodies are acting as one. So, for instance, if you have an idea, you don't just stop and not do it, you actually act on it. So you're incorporating all the bodies together. When we are moving in alignment and we are saying yes to opportunities and taking action from our intuition in alignment, then we start to speed up our cycle and we start to grow in leaps and bounds. And so our vibration could be here. And then when we start to take action and alignment, we start moving higher and higher. And why is it important to move higher and higher? One is because we have a different perspective. We start to make a bigger impact with our mission and with our purpose. And we also start to affect other people by our vibration. And as an example, people will say, I'm seeing you making all this progress. How are you doing this? And your answer is by following my intuition, and I'm making decisions before I even have time to think. When you feel that inspiration, that is alignment. When you take that action, that is alignment. And truly doing things in harmony. That is really the key. So, no more sitting there thinking and not doing. When you get the thought and you feel the yes, take the action. And that truly will be in alignment, which will help catapult you into a spiritual growth cycle and impact others through your mission and why you're truly here.
Mm. That is the best explanation of why alignment is so vital that I have heard. Thank you for that.
You're
Boy,
welcome.
that is powerful, really powerful. And they talk a lot about being in flow. That you become more easeful, things become less stressful, and part of that, or all of it possibly, is because you're in alignment. It makes life easeful and graceful, and yeah.
It does. It does. And when you're really open to your intuition, all of these decisions that you're making and your alignment starts to speed up. When you work with your spirit guides and you tell them and communicate with them, I only want to make decisions in alignment with my purpose and in alignment with my energy. They start to give you these opportunities. And then sometimes it takes a little bit of, oh my goodness, I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to do it. And then once you do it, it does feel like I'm allowing myself for more ease in my life and more grace in my life. And things become easier. Your blockages and resistance, they also become very small versus feeling like they were just huge mountains to climb. And it is living on purpose also when we are in that alignment as well. So it does so much for our health, our mindset, but really helping other people in the world too, just by example. And of course, you can affect others through your vocation and through what you really know you're here to do.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that being said, Whitney, tell us about your program, the four intuitive languages. You have an Abundance Academy. So let's delve into how we can all learn more.
Sure. So, my signature program is four intuitive languages, and I'll walk you step by step to teach you how you receive your intuitive messages. And I love giving everyone exercises inside of that program based on your intuitive language to help you open more of your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance based on how it comes in through for you. And I also help you establish a connection with your spirit guides so that you stop second guessing and that you can clearly understand and communicate with your spirit guide team. So you feel support and you feel alignment and you feel that peace as you move forward in your life. And I do have a quiz to help you with this, to help you learn your primary intuitive type. And that's at messengerofspirit.com/quiz. Once you take the quiz, if you're interested in working a bit more with me, I'll definitely tell you more about that program as well.
Mm, wonderful. I'm going to delve into that quiz. I want to take that, and I'm really curious now for sure. Well, I have a question that's relevant here with our ever changing world. There's a lot of unpredictability. There can be a lot of stress depending on the individual. What are some of the benefits that people can experience through your teachings in this new ever changing world that we're in?
It's a great question. More sense of self, less overwhelm, more grace, more ease, feeling as if you can trust yourself. And one of the great benefits that I've heard after working with me through this program is I love myself more. And that was a little bit of a surprise for me. I talk a lot about trusting your intuition and connecting with your spirit guides. But the end result is now I love myself. I love how I operate and I've embraced my own energy and I've released blocks. I no longer have the fear to move forward with what I want in this life. And so many people have excuses of, I can't do this because people will think I'm weird, or, I can't do this because of XYZ. And after working with me, they no longer have those blocks holding them back. And that's such a beautiful gift for me to be able to see and also for themselves. So it's so wonderful in this time. Intuition is so important. There's so many different messages being thrown out to us in the media, and people out there are not all excited. They can be kind of negative. It's just the way the world is. And what I love about this program too is bringing community together so that they can connect with other people who really understand them, to talk to them about this and raise their vibration so that when they're out there in the world, that negativity does not affect them. And that's a wonderful benefit as well of, oh, I also have exercises to raise my vibration so I'm not so affected by all of these things going on in the world.
Mm. It builds the confidence to be yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Having
gives
more
you the
confidence
confidence.
in,
Go ahead.
yes, in your abilities, having more confidence in your abilities and who you truly are and why you are truly here. And really, it gives people permission to be their authentic self and stand in their authentic self with that confidence.
And love that authentic self, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, tell us about your spirit oracle cards and why they're so special.
Thank you so much for asking. So, after doing 10,000 readings, I started to see a need for oracle cards. At the end of the readings, I would usually pull from someone else's deck, and I started to really learn what is really important for people. With this deck, this is a tool to help people strengthen their own intuition and connection with their spirit guides. So I have put words on the card to help prompt a message coming in from the guides, but I also have put imagery and colors that will help people connect in. And with the tangible tools, sometimes we just want to see the message right in front of us. And so this is not to replace intuition. This is to strengthen the messages that you're already receiving. And I love this deck. I feel the energy from it, but also it comes with bonuses to strengthen your intuition with your guides too.
Mm. Well, I encourage everyone to take a look at those. They're on Whitney's website, and we'll have all that information available. But I know that they were a project close to your heart, and
Mhm.
they look incredible. Just as someone at myself that I'm not really used to using those types of cards, what do you suggest? Do you pull one a day? Do you pull one when you feel like you need to? How does it work? I'm curious
Great
because
question.
I've heard of them and I think they're useful, but I've never used them.
Absolutely. So I do have a little process when you're first getting your deck where you can connect in, but I recommend to do all of the above. I would say pull cards right as you're starting your day. And I recommend to talk to your spirit guides every single day for 5 to 15 minutes so that you can work with these cards every day in those 5 to 15 minutes to help confirm or validate the messages that you're getting from your spirit guides. But sometimes we might have a decision coming up and we say, okay, I think that the message is this, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull a card to help validate that message. So sometimes we want to do that with a decision that we're making, or a situation might come up in our life and we want to say, why is this coming up? What lesson do I need to learn? What do I need to pay attention to move through this? Or what is the reason behind this? And I make it really simple. Now, there are different spreads that you can pull, different ways you can pull, but I say take your Oracle deck, place them at your heart, ask your spirit guides to work through you, and then I shuffle them in my hands just like this. And then I'll say you can either spread them out and pull one that you feel guided to, or you can drop them in different piles and take the card from the first pile. And when you're choosing, take a few moments and connect in with your intuition. You might see a card to choose and you're just zeroing in on that card with your sight, or you might see a light coming from it. You might hear, pull the card 4 from the left. You might also feel energetically and place your hands over the cards. And when you feel a little bit of a tingle or warmth or energy, you can pull that card. Or if you're a channeler and you're like, this doesn't make any sense, I don't see, hear, or feel anything, you just know. So just place your hands where they go and just pull the first cards that come out. And channelers are so connected to their intuition, they're expecting a lot of times for it to come through an external way. And in fact, they are so internally connected. Just pick the first card, and that is your message.
So thank you for that information on the cards. I just love it. And here's a question. What excites you most about the future?
Mm, great question. What excites me is something that my mentor used to tell me: expect the unexpected. I used to fear the unknown. And I get really excited for the opportunities that my spirit guides are going to create for me that I don't even know yet. And I can tell them my intentions, but it's like a surprise. So I get excited for things to change and to see what's coming up. So that and travel, those are my two big answers.
Wonderful. Well, that's really interesting because you say you're excited about really the unknown
Mhm.
and what's coming, but that's a total 180 from what the average person would say because they're like they need to plan or they need to know. But that's fantastic. If we can all get to that mindset, woohoo, we'll be embracing the future like no tomorrow because it's really
You know,
unpredictable.
absolutely. I used to say the opposite. I was someone that always had to have the plan. I had a lot of anxiety of not knowing what would happen. I'd want to kind of have control of the situation, what is going to occur. But because I've worked with my guides, I know that they're working on something really big coming up. And I can sense it with the energy. I can feel it. And when I ask them, sometimes it's, oh, you're not ready to know exactly yet, but I know that it's good, whatever is coming from them. And I look forward to seeing how that unfolds because timing is always key. When we try to rush something, it does not go as well as when your spirit guides give you things in divine timing.
Mhm. It's do it with ease or force it. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. You can try to
Absolutely.
force it, and it's not as good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, any last words you would like to share with our audience?
I would say to really love yourself and learn and embrace how your intuition comes through for you. Even if you feel like you don't have this ability, I can promise you that you do. And the more that you tell your spirit guides that you're interested in connecting with them, and you can do that by talking out loud, just like I am, or you can do it with intuitive thought. An intuitive thought is the intention of your inner reading voice. So saying you're ready for this in your inner reading voice with the intention that your spirit guides hear you, that's going to be really important. And the more that you go down this journey, the more beautiful things are going to open up for you.
Mm. Well, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, I have one last question for you. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
I feel like the title would be The Phoenix, always
Mm.
reinventing myself. I've gone through so many different challenges in my life, a health crisis where my spirit guides really helped to pull me out of that and change my direction of my life. I've pivoted my business where my spirit guides really helped to guide me and had a big hand in that as well. And that's also very comforting because when life changes happen, knowing that we can always pivot and we can still shift into alignment is such a relief because our guides are always there for us. And our life path is not just a straight road, it's a journey. And the more that we learn to embrace the journey, the easier things are for us. And knowing that we have that support is so important.
Hmm. Thank you for that. That is, I could feel that from you. It's absolutely true. And that trusting is so important. Because once you trust, it's all there. It's like you let go. It gives you permission to let go. Well, I want to thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Whitney, again for joining us here today. And be sure to check out Whitney's website at messengerofspirit.com and her specials for this holiday season. Absolutely get that quiz as well and check out those oracle cards for Whitney's social media links and much more. You can go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages. We'll have all her contact information there. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. And don't forget to reach out to me at janeapplegath.com, where you can access your free download, The Keys to Your Dreams. I look forward to connecting with you. And this is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.